Talking about the government. A new rule announced today backed by the force of law and the threat of fines and felony charges. A rule that will prevent reporters and photographers and anyone else from getting anywhere close to booms and oil-soaked wildlife in just about any place we need to be. By now, you're probably familiar with cleanup crews stiff-arming the media, private security blocking cameras, ordinary workers clamming up, some not even saying who they're working for because they're afraid of losing their jobs. BP has said again and again that's not their policy, yet again and again it has happened. We've seen it. But that's BP. Now the government apparently is getting in on the act, despite what Admiral Thad Allen promised about transparency just nearly a month ago. Here's what he said back then.
I have put out a written directive, and I can provide it for the record, that says the media will have uninhibited access anywhere we're doing operations, except for two things: if it's a security or a safety problem. That is my policy.
Uninhibited access unless it's a security or safety problem. Well, the Coast Guard today announced new rules keeping photographers and reporters and anyone else from coming within 65 feet of any response vessel or booms out on the water or on beaches. 65 feet. Now, in order to get closer, you have to get direct permission from the Coast Guard captain of the Port of New Orleans. You have to call up the guy. What this means is that oil-soaked birds on islands surrounded by boom, you can't get close enough to take that picture. Shots of oil on beaches with booms, stay 65 feet away. Pictures of oil-soaked booms uselessly laying in the water because they haven't been collected like they should, you can't get close enough to see that. And believe me, that is out there. But you only know that if you get close to it, and now you can't without permission. Violators could face a fine of $40,000 and Class D felony charges. What's even more extraordinary is that the Coast Guard tried to make the exclusion zone 300 feet before scaling it back to 65 feet. Here's how Admiral Allen defends it.
It's not unusual at all for the Coast Guard to establish either safety or security zones around any number of facilities or activities for public safety and for the safety of the equipment itself. We would do this for marine events, fireworks demonstrations, cruise ships going in and out of port.
So this is the exact same logic that federal wildlife officials used to prevent CNN on 2 occasions from getting pictures of oiled birds that have been collected. Pictures like that we're about to show you, which are obviously deeply disturbing. Pictures of oiled gulls that we just happened to catch. Suddenly we were told after that day we couldn't catch it anymore. So keeping prying eyes out of marshes, away from booms, off the beaches is now government policy. When asked why now, after all this time, Thad Allen said he'd gotten some complaints from local officials worried people might get hurt. Now, we don't know who these officials are. We'd like to, but transparency is apparently not a high priority with Thad Allen either these days. Maybe he's accurate, and some officials are concerned, and that's their right. But we've heard far more from local officials about not being able to get a straight story from the government or BP. I've met countless local officials desperate for pictures to be taken and stories written about what is happening in their communities. We're not the enemy here. Those of us down here trying to accurately show what is happening, we are not the enemy. I've not heard about any journalist who's disrupted relief efforts. No journalist wants to be seen as having slowed down the cleanup or made things worse. If a Coast Guard official asked me to move, I'd move. But to create a blanket rule that everyone has to stay 65 feet away from boom and boats, that doesn't sound like transparency. Frankly, it's a lot like in Katrina when they tried to make it impossible to see recovery efforts of people who died in their homes. If we can't show what is happening, warts and all, no one will see what's happening. And that makes it very easy to hide failure and hide incompetence, and makes it very hard to highlight the hard work of cleanup crews and the Coast Guard. We are not the enemy here. We found out today 2 public broadcasting journalists reporting on health issues say they've been blocked again and again from visiting a federal mobile medical unit in Venice, a trailer where cleanup workers are being treated. It's known locally as the BP compound, and these 2 reporters say everyone they've talked to, from BP to the Coast Guard to Health and Human Services in Washington, has been giving them the runaround. We're not talking about a CIA station here. We're talking about a medical trailer that falls under the authority of guess who? Thad Allen, the same Thad Allen who promised transparency all those weeks ago. We are not the enemy here. With us now, 2 parish presidents, Billy Nungesser of Plaquemines Parish and Craig Tafaro, Jr. of St. Bernard. Thanks very much for being with us. What do you make of this 65-foot rule, Billy?
You know, instead of spending time picking up the oil, getting more skimmers, I'm blown away. You know, does this mean if I'm out or one of the fishermen's out and sees a pelican, he fears he's going to be fined or arrested so he doesn't go into that area? The only boom that's been disturbed has been because we have the wrong type of boom, or they put it down wrong, or the winds have blown it up into the marsh.
And you can only see that if you actually get within, say, 5 feet, maybe 10 feet of that boom, and you see, oh, look, that's oil-soaked boom that should have been picked up weeks ago.
I see why now we don't have the equipment we need. We're spending more time trying to come up with a reason why to keep people away instead of coming up with equipment and deploying. We've got that large ship sitting in Venice. Breaks my heart to
It's
see.
a huge skimming vessel.
And still red tape keeps it there. Maybe if they spent more time getting things like that deployed to pick up the oil, they wouldn't have to worry about blocking access from the media. This is crazy. I'm not calling the Port of New Orleans, and anybody who wants to come down to Plaquemines Parish, we'll take you right up to show you the birds. I don't give a care about their rule. We're going to fix the boom, we're going to suck up oil, and we're going to do our job, and we're going to let the media have access. If we did our job and did the right thing, the news you'd be reporting would be good news. You'd be showing marsh being cleaned. You'd be showing the things. You know, listen, Craig said I had to be nice tonight because it's 4th of July.
You're going to, you wanted him to give a 3-day dispensation?
Three-day amnesty and let him, no more Mr. Nice Guy after
I
that.
spent 3 days trying to get permission from all the parishes to let us use their skimmers that aren't there. These 100 skimmers that all these parishes have, today we got the report. I apologize. Cameron doesn't have any skimmers, but we heard they were on the shore. And
So wait, officially, there's dozens of skimmers in each of these parishes?
Well, that's what the report says.
On paper.
Jefferson has 96. They got 18. They've asked for 10 more.
So wait, they have 96 skimmers officially on paper?
On the paper.
In Jefferson Parish, but you've counted and they only have how
Well,
much?
I talked to them tonight. They have 18.
18.
You know, and listen, if we only got 18, then let's order some more. Let's get to work. But, you know, we're spending more time looking for this equipment that nobody knows where it is.
How are things now in your parish since Hurricane Alex?
Well, here's the thing. You know, we want to be able to tell a positive story about what's happening. And the shame of it is many of our waters, maybe for a little bit more time, are still open for fishing. So we have boom spread out. We have over 50 miles of boom. So in essence, this rule that's been enacted today could shut down all of the recreation fishermen and all of the activities that are going on in our open waters because people will be fearful of running up against getting too close to boom. That's not what we do in St. Bernard Parish. We operate from a standpoint of we want our story to be told.
I also haven't heard of anyone, recreational fishermen or anyone going out there trying to run over a boom. I mean, everybody here is in the same boat, literally, and wants this thing.
Who made the complaint?
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's
What official? I've talked to.
We talked to all of them.
Nobody's made a complaint.
Right. Well, how are things in the wake of Hurricane Alex? Have you guys been set back?
we had basically about a 400-barrel swath of oil coming in. We had to stand down because of the storm activity, and now that oil has now been spewed all over inside of the Chandelier Islands. We have Brush Island again inundated, and we're going out again tomorrow to start cleaning it up. We have a whole colony of birds now that have been affected and now all damaged. So we have to go back out, basically start over. One of our issues is that we have to get assets that can fight this oil in open water. Look,
Skimming vessels you're talking
skimming
about.
vessels. We are going to have a storm pattern from now until September.
It is incredible that we are still on day 70, whatever, 2, 3,
Yeah.
this is that we're still talking about getting skimming vessels when they were talking weeks ago and months ago, frankly, about this is a worst case scenario. We got all hands on deck. We've made the call for everything.
If we had half the equipment that I've seen on paper physically out there, we'd have a fighting chance. What's actually out there in the water, we don't have a prayer. We're fighting. We got fishermen out there tonight with lights sucking up oil. This is crazy. We're fighting against now the Coast Guard. I mean, when are we going to get a team down here on our side that sits side by side and say, let's go out there and see what's out there. Let's put everything out there we can. Look, I told the vice president, I said, you have a very short window. We're losing and you're losing. It's not too late to turn this around. But you know what?
Really
saying words like war and kick butt, saying it don't mean diddly unless you do it. And they better be somebody on the ground out here to do it.
We can't keep having the local guys, even the local guys from BP, the local Coast Guard personnel, that when they get here and they get engaged, they understand it and they get it.
And they're working hard.
We
are.
can't keep handcuffing those guys. They walk away, actually, when they rotate out, they walk away brokenhearted because they know what's going on and they can't say, man, we're really messing up because we don't get the support from up top. it starts to trickle in, and then all of a sudden something stops. This is what we have to change. We have to connect the dots so the local guys who are working as hard as they can and doing what they know is right gets the support from their own agencies that they're down here from.